The moniker "the greatest generation" doesn't only apply to the working class men and women who courageously supported our country both at home and abroad during the Second World War. It also applies to the stars of Tinseltown in that day and age, because many of them served their country with honor and distinction during one of the most formidable conflicts the world has ever known. These stars stand in stark contrast to today's liberal elite, who seem to prefer to bash their country instead of serving it. One example is famed baseball player Joe DiMaggio. He enlisted in the United States Army Air Forces in 1943, rising to the rank of sergeant before being discharged in 1945 due to chronic stomach ulcers. Although he didn't see combat, he did his part to raise the morale of our soldiers as they fought for our freedoms. Compare Sergeant DiMaggio to Major League Baseball star Bruce Maxwell, who disrespects our national anthem while lying about food servers and threatening a pizza delivery person with a loaded weapon. Another example is famous actor Jimmy Stewart of It's a Wonderful Life and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington fame. Stewart was originally rejected by the draft board due to being underweight. However, instead of meekly accepting the deferment and staying safely at home, Stewart instead worked with a fitness coach to gain weight and was inducted into the United States Army in March 1941. He had already logged nearly 300 hours of flight time as a private pilot, joined the 2nd Combat Wing of the 8th Air Force in England. Over the course of his military career, Stewart led 20 bombing missions over Germany and was twice awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, among other honors. He eventually achieved the rank of colonel, and then brigadier general, and did not officially retire from the Air Force Reserve until 1968. Compare General Stewart to actor Robert De Niro, who has routinely insulted President Donald Trump and recently appealed for money to save his controversial, crumbling Caribbean resort under the guise of fundraising for victims of Hurricane Irma. Another Hollywood actor turned solider was Clark Gable, who joined the U.S. Army Air Forces in 1942 after the tragic death of his wife, Carol Lombard. In total, Gable reached the rank of major and flew 5 combat missions, which earned him the Air Medal and the Distinguished Flying Cross, among other military honors. He was relieved of active duty in June 1944, and his discharge papers were signed by none other than Captain Ronald Reagan. He also had the distinction of having a bounty put on his head by Adolf Hitler, with the caveat that he must be captured alive. Apparently, Hitler was a fan, albeit a creepy one. Compare Major Gable to egotistical celebrity Alec Baldwin, who spends his time harassing 11-year-olds in between stints of impersonating Trump for unfunny TV shows and otherwise mocking the President of the United States. One thing is for sure, by and large, today's whiny, entitled celebrities can't hold a candle to the brave men and women who served our country in uniform at a time when the United States was threatened by its greatest enemies. H/TATI